do this or not, but I know that, you know,
No, it's okay. It's just like she's been sick for like 5 days. Aaron was sick the week before. Like I have like some sort of congestion, allergy, something or another. And so like I've been taking my temperature. I'm totally fine. So I'm not feeling up to par. And I've been working a lot on like my podcast and our podcast. So all I've been doing is fucking listening to my voice all the time. It's driving me fucking insane. And now I'm doing like this stand-up class. So there's a lot of me like talking to myself, and I'm just like, I'm losing my mind over here.
I feel like listening to your own voice on repeat is one of the bravest things that you can do. It really
Same,
is brave. You're being confronted with yourself in this way of like, oh my gosh, is this how the world perceives me? Is it
100%.
getting any easier?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm past the like, being annoyed with myself and stuff like that. It's more of like, imagine you listen to the same album like 100 times. You know what I mean? Except the album kind of sucks, and you have to edit the album. You know what I mean? It's like it's got all these other problems outside of like just it being like your voice. You know what I mean?
Sure, sure. I mean, yeah, but that's what we do. We come here, we show up, and
Yeah,
sometimes
it's
things
like
happen.
I
And
wasn't
sometimes
not yeah, I wasn't gonna not show up, right? I'm not in my glorious mind state that I usually try to like be in when I'm doing stuff like this. You know what I mean?
I know. And sometimes that's not always possible. I mean, I was revisiting the fur hat episode, which we're just gonna call it that. The fur hat episode. And I was like, ooh, baby.
Well,
We're back.
I posted a bunch of stuff into the drive. Like, so I posted a couple videos into the drive, like episodes. So if you want to go look at them,
Word. Word.
yeah.
I always just trust the process that whatever comes out is what's gonna come out.
You know, that is one thing. Like you were talking about, like like hearing your voice over and over again. It's kind of maybe like making music, I guess. After you've made like 100 songs, we'll say, right? There's a certain group that you look at and you go, these are great. Like I really nailed it, like on these. And then there's a group you look at and you're like, those are all right. Those are pretty good songs. They probably go on the album. And then there's this other part where you go, that wouldn't make the B side of
That
the
belongs in the bin. That's in the
that that,
trash
that would
bin.
that would never even make it to Walmart.
I
You know?
know. And we let those out anyway, right? I assume. I mean, you edit them,
Yeah, but like
but we let them all out there.
nothing's ever bad. There's always going to be stuff that feels good, greater, or better than other stuff, right? It doesn't make it any less valuable. And in fact, like episodes that I were like, this episode sucks. There was people that came up to me and they were like, that episode changed my life. Not that much, but they're like, oh,
They're like that one hit.
yeah, they were like that one hit. And I was like, well, glad it hit for you because it wasn't hitting for me. But I mean, that's just taste. And like when you start like pre curating, like you make something and you make it the best you can be, and then you go, you know what, people aren't going to like this, I'm not going to put it out. Like you make the decision before you let somebody else decide. That's not how this whole thing works. And also to know what's great, you have to know what sucks.
Yeah.
And like there has to be a
You have to know it
comparison there.
sucks.
You know what I mean? There has to be a comparison there.
True of life in general.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, this is just like everything, right? Like, gratefulness comes from, well, maybe not, but for me, a lot of times gratefulness comes from like bad things. Like, I see
Quite
something,
literally.
right? I see something bad happen. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so grateful that I don't live there. Or I'm not dealing with that, or that is not my problem. I'm so lucky that I have running water and whatever else, right? And so I think without the two things, without bad and good, you don't know what good is without bad. I mean, it's the yin and the yang. It's like,
100%.
yeah, I mean, and so it's like you probably have an appreciation for the places you've been in your life so far as compared to the place you're in right now, right?
Ooh, yes. As in because I'm in a weird place.
Right, yeah. And so
Yes, I'm like, oh my goodness, I should have been so much more grateful for these things that I had. And now I think it's gonna change my perspective on life for the rest of my life to
Yeah,
really
well, I think
appreciate the things that are good.
yeah, I think that's what these times do. You know
True,
what I mean? Like
true.
like my daughter being sick. I mean, this is so like, but like when she's sick, I'm just like, oh my God, she's gonna die. You know what I mean? Like I just like I lose my mind. And she's just like running a fever and like kids just get sick. And I keep telling myself, I'm like, this is good for her.
Yes.
This is good for her immune system and stuff.
Oh, and you get really worried.
But when she comes up to me, she's like, Daddy, I don't know what to do.
No.
Yeah,
That would hurt my heart.
yeah, but it does. But like, I realize that what's important in that moment is not that I can't show her that like I'm worried about, like that I have that worry, but just tell her like together it's gonna be okay. That's what I do. I go together, me and you together, of course, Aaron, but me and you together, this is going to be okay. I'm not going to leave you. I'm going to help you through this. We are going to figure this out. We, not
Yeah.
me and not you, which I think is a big mistake that parents make where they go,
I need to figure this out for my
yeah,
kid.
I'm going to figure it out for you. Or they're just like, figure it out. And you're like, well, what? You know what I mean?
Oh man. Yeah, have you heard of the term snowplow parenting? We talk a lot about helicopter parenting, but snowplow parenting
No, what's
is
that?
an experience that I feel like I might have had and a lot of millennials might have had, which is it's like they make they do all the intervening for you. So it's like they deal with all the conflict for you so that your path is really, really smooth, but it's doesn't quite prepare you for how difficult things are in life. So they're
What,
like pushing away all the difficulty and making sure like the teacher doesn't yell at you and making sure that, this bad thing doesn't happen. It's like pushing away all the bad crap, which then doesn't really prepare you for when shit gets bad.
you know what's so weird is so okay, it goes Gen X then millennial, right?
I'm a millennial. Gen X is younger than me. You're, what are you?
No, I'm Gen X. Gen
Oh,
Z is
you're Gen X. Gen Z is behind me. Yes.
okay. So my brother is like on he was born in 1982. He is like on the cusp of Gen X millennial. Like the next year you become a millennial or whatever, right? And no shade to my parents. They were amazing. If they watch this, you're amazing. I'm telling you, you're amazing. Okay. But they did a lot of that. I mean, and because they just didn't want us to like suffer like they'd
I
suffer.
know.
Like my dad's one of seven kids. My mom came from a broken home. Like, what do you think they wanted? They wanted everything to be easy and great, but it did not prepare me to handle anything. You know what I mean? And it's only like now, like, golly, it's only now that like I'm actually feel like I'm handling things good.
That's
Not
amazing.
great.
And
It's
I
like,
want to ask more questions about that. And okay, here's a question I have.
okay.
We can do rapid fire questions. I think we operate under the false premise that life just gets better and better, or that things just get better and better as we go along. I think there's also sort of this argument to be made that it's like, yeah, like once you reach a certain age, life kind of tapers off and gets more challenging. What has been whereas I think the reality is like this total flux, peaks and valleys, ups and downs, kind of we don't really know how the story ends. Scottie, when in your life did you have a low point that looking back was not the lowest point?
Oh, so many. So many. So, like starting like in high school, like, like breakups with girlfriends, fights with friends, um, just, okay, I can only speak for me.
Yeah.
I'm a very emotional person and I have a tendency to take things personal and feel things, all that good jazz, right? So like growing up, every event was like catastrophic. You know what I mean? Like everything was going to hell in a handbasket every single fucking time. And it wasn't until, you know, I mean, really, I don't know. Maybe this isn't true, but it really wasn't until my divorce, that I was like, oh shit, like this is what catastrophe looks like. You know, this
Yes.
this is fucked, because not only is it like this commitment you made to a person, but like people came to this wedding. Like, I mean, we celebrated you. Now there's financial ramifications to this whole thing. If I had kids, there would be that and this. And it is like, I mean, now granted, compared to dying, it's nothing, but events like that, like, I mean, I want to hope that maybe
No, it's catastrophic.
well, and I want to hope that maybe people only have like one or two of those in their life,
Mm.
maybe three at the most. And they could be like, if you're like really close to your parents, like losing them, maybe that's one of them or whatever, right? You know what I mean? But I hope on the other side of my divorce, what I feel is not that I'm not going to have big problems and not that something come along. Now I'm going to have fights with friends, fights with my girlfriend and my parents, and all that stuff. I'm just more like I'm like don't get too high.
Mm.
Like don't get too emotional about this. Like stay calm. Like and like because when you stay calm, I can figure it out. I can figure something out, and a lot of times it's almost better than I could have imagined it be afterwards. Does that make sense?
That life after your divorce is better than it was before
Okay, well,
because of who you are.
100% my life. That's not what I was referring to. I mean, kind of meaning that like if something I'm trying to think of the last like bad thing like okay, no, my truck got wrecked.
Yes, the truck.
Okay,
Big
so my truck got wrecked, right? And weirdly, like I wasn't like upset about it. I wasn't like panicking. I gotta find something to do, and then like the insurance company wouldn't pay for it. And so like that would have been like I've been like that could have been just like a big blow up moment. I was just like, well, that sucks, but lucky for me, I buffed it out. So like, it's just like no harm, no foul kind of thing. Like, and take the time, like when me and my daughter play video games, she gets real panic in the moment. Like, we're playing, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Right. And I always tell her, I'm just like, hey, just take a deep breath and just think and do your best. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, this is, video games and her. But I guess what I'm saying is that the thoughts leading up to the event for me, the thoughts during the event for me, the thoughts after the event for me, how long it held for me, like after that, like, like continuing on, I don't have a lot of that anymore.
Mm.
I have stuff happen. It really sucks. I really process it. I think, what is the best case scenario I can make of this shit sandwich?
Yep.
Right. And then I just move forward. And that's just, it's kind of like the podcast, like there's just going to be warts and stinkers in there. And I don't like it, but it's part of the thing. And again, without the, I don't know if this is true. Like, like if a band made an album and every one of them were hits, we'd be like, well, we want the hits, right? But that's what we call a greatest hits.
Mm.
There's not really a band that makes an album like a regular album and they're just all bangers. I mean, one of my favorite albums of all time is Fleetwood Mac Rumors. Okay. Almost every single song on there's a banger, but there are like two stinkers in there that I'm like, fast forward,
Yep.
because there's no comparison. There's no, authentic human element to that. And again, those two songs might be other people's favorite songs. Who knows?
Maybe.
Maybe.
This is also why I find AI so terrifying, right? It's like if we're making everything sort of like I feel like the big aim of AI, I'm going to use it really specifically in terms of AI and personal communication, which, by the way, people I think are using AI to send texts back and forth when they're in conflict. Do you know this? Like romantic conflict, friend conflict, I think people are running things through ChatGPT to like make the most refined, emotionally intelligent version of whatever it is they have to say. And that really freaks me out for many reasons. One is that like soon like everyone's going to start to sound the same. But then also, if you are only filtering what you are feeling through this lens of being kind of perfectly understood, ooh, I feel like you're never going to have these really, you're never going to feel truly proud of the way you show up well when you do show up well. I think
Why? Okay, I totally agree. Why do you think that is? I already know what my answer is, but I want to know, why do you think that is?
that you're never going to kind of feel your own, you're never going to be able to be proud of yourself
Hmm.
because you're focusing so hard on the curated image of what other people see.
Well, not only that, it's like you're doing the cliff notes.
Yeah,
You're not actually learning how to have a conversation in conflict.
that too.
You're going like, okay, they said this, give me the answer. They said this, give me the answer. Right? And like, you're not going like, the answer is, you're not learning it, right? I was talking to this guy, he uses ChatGPT as his therapist. Okay.
Oh, a lot of people do that. A lot of people do that.
I'm already out. I'm already out at that point, right? I don't know why. I mean, maybe it's a great therapy, but here's my point. We were talking, and then I recommended some books to him, right? And so he sends me a text message like what ChatGPT said about the books. And I was like, God damn it. I was like, I want you to read the book to absorb the information, not just to have the general idea of this thing, right? And
You want them to have the experience of
yes,
actually being immersed in the work.
and you've said this before, conflict is messy, right? But conflict is how we grow.
Conflict is how we grow. It's how we get closer to one another
Right,
and to ourselves.
right. And you can't do that just curating the average or the general idea of things. You know what I
Or
mean?
the
Like,
generic,
hey, the what do they go the in the details? The
the
not
devil's in the details.
yeah, like it's so the details are so important. The details are what makes Hannah different than everybody else, right? And so if you're not like looking for that inside yourself and looking for that inside of other people, and you're just trying to like whitewash everybody to be kind of the same and handle everything the same and just be the same, I mean, it's just not, I just don't think it's going to work. You know what I mean?
I know, which I mean, I kind of want to get your take on AI, but that's a huge question that I don't know that we can answer
Well,
necessarily.
okay. Well, so since we're here,
Yes.
I like how we were like, hey, let's do something short. And now we're in like a full blown like episode. What do you want to, what's your question about AI? Because I'd like to answer it.
What for you personally feels like your greatest concern or fear around you using AI and your experience with AI? Like, what do you actually fear for yourself as opposed to just people in general?
I don't foresee this happening, but the fear I have for myself is, will I start to lean on it like too much?
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like I use AI to make just like average ass art that I need for stuff, and to correct spelling and like tell me how to write things because I'm illiterate and like all this kind of stuff. And I've actually thought about that.
Literate.
Like, like if you're having to do all the corrections for you, you're not learning how to write. You know what I mean? Now there is a level of just like, I'm just a poor like writer, and then in general, like I'm not good at punctuation and all the things and stuff. And so before I put something on the internet, I make sure I curate it like that, right? But I would say my biggest fear is that like it would take away my creativity. It would take away my willingness to learn and grow and all that stuff. And so I keep going, this is a tool. Whatever I put into it needs to be something that maybe comes from me, in some way, and even when I'm trying to learn how to spell words and write stuff, it's still kind of, I've already written it. I've already written my paragraph. I've already written the stuff. I'm just saying, hey, clean up the, punctuation for me. And,
Sure.
and I think I mean, as a tool, that should be the approach that everyone should use. Like, well, I mean, I don't use my AI for anything important either, right? Like, I'm not using it as a therapist. I'm not asking.
Not using it to talk to your girlfriend, talk to
No,
your
I'm not
friend.
asking it like, what do I need to do with my life? I'm not, I mean, I don't need help with that. I got it. You know what I mean?
Although we can always try to ask it what we should do with our lives. Actually, there's a lot of horror stories around that. Okay.
Hey, Hannah, what do you think your biggest Achilles heel is going to be with AI?
I think it's similar to that. I think it's but more so than it ruining my creativity, I think I am going to well, I'm actually thinking about having it removed from my internet search feature. You can do that. Because right now on Google, like the first thing that comes up is the AI response.
Yeah.
I think honestly, the big thing that I'm worried about is relying on it to tell me the truth.
About,
And
about,
I
about
think,
anything?
okay, for as of right now, right, as I'm navigating these mental health struggles and like some pretty big life changes, um, I I will like type in my fears or my concerns or like what is the rate of recovery for this insomnia, for instance, that I'm experiencing, or this brain fog that I'm experiencing, all these scary things that are kind of happening with my brain. And I'm looking for statistics to comfort myself. But then I'll find some scary statistics out there. And I think just letting that, whether it's positive or negative, sort of dictate my experience and also my sense of hope and my motivation and faith to show up and I guess kind of like expect the best, put my whole heart into something like, healing or improving my life without um yeah, I think the danger for me is seeing AI as because it's like accumulating everything from the internet that it must be the most true thing for me.
Yeah, because ultimately it's a curation of everything.
Mm,
So what it comes up with is possibly part of you or how you feel.
mm,
But the details thing, whenever I like look up facts on AI or whatever, well, if I'm on the internet, I take everything with a grain of salt to start off
yeah,
with. But I mean, like, if I'm on AI, I just go, okay, like that's a general idea. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is what is this bump on my arm? Am I gonna die? And it's kind of like probably not. I'm like, oh, okay, pretty cool. It mentioned some stuff that was really bad. Keep an eye. But you know what I mean? Like, it's I'm never gonna because okay, let's go all the way back to snow plowing.
yes.
I think, me personally, I think part of this is us not trusting ourselves
Mm,
because someone has always told us what it was. And so there's probably a big group of people using ChatGPT to fill the void of, we'll say, their parent or whoever raised them or whoever they believe is the smartest person to tell them what they should do instead of making that decision on their own. You know what I mean? And I think that's a very slippery slope because, again, you can see how important it is that I learn this skill, right? And if I were to use ChatGPT, maybe I never learned the skill.
mm.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Yeah, I mean, the criticism is like, I think it's generally just making us more mentally lazy.
Well, I mean, but
Curious.
that's what our
Yeah,
phones, like in general, are doing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, man, our phones are making us so lazy that people won't even text full words anymore. You know what I mean? They're just like TXT. You know what I mean? You only got to add an E in there. It's not like it was like a big like, oh, got to throw in an E. We're already. I mean, I can't spell, and I definitely can't spell after having my phone for this long.
obviously I'm not an AI expert, but all I know is that the way that it has sort of infiltrated my work, especially, and I think using that as like, ooh, this thing that's hiding what is real and putting forth something really generic is just going to strip a lot of things of their authenticity for sure.
Well, you know, I was listening to a podcast and I'd already kind of thought of this, and I'll make it quick. But essentially, they were saying that, like when AI goes to like create movies, we'll say, right? And we'll say that it uses like famous people's faces to like, do
And
stuff.
it already is doing a lot of that,
Yeah,
apparently,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
in accents and everything.
The podcast, when they were talking about it, they were talking about a guy was interviewing this actor, and he was like, in this scene, when you did this, where did that come from? He was like, oh, my dad was an alcoholic, and so I saw him do this all the time, and he would act like this and scream at us like this, and that's why I did that. And he was like, well, in this scene, why did you do this? He goes, well, when my mother, before she died, when they gave her her cancer diagnosis, like she pulled the sheets up over her face, and that's what I did. Okay, those human experiences can't be averaged out, and they can't be had. But I asked ChatGPT the other day, I go, make me some art, whatever you want to do. We couldn't figure it out. You know what I mean? Like it's too general. Like it's looking for specific stuff. You can find that specific stuff, but it just the ideas in it are so general that the human experience of like that guy experiencing those things and how that impacted him and how he showed up to do that scene for that movie, I don't think that's something you ever replace, right?
Mhm.
And that on some level is again like relationships and just people and interactions and communication and interpersonal relationships. It's all that stuff, right? And that just can't look, there's gonna be a certain group of people, they're totally gonna be fine with their AI girlfriends or boyfriends. They're gonna be like, I don't want to talk to humans. Totally fine. That's gonna be totally fine. But there's gonna be a big bunch that doesn't want to do any of that.
Oh, is anyone fine with that? Oh man, I can't imagine. I've never
Somebody
valued face-to-face human time more.
Somebody will be. Somebody will be. You know what I mean? And like they'll have to, like there's people that like, they do, like all these like weird shows where like they only eat bananas or whatever it is, right? People do strange things, but that person has to, you know, that person has to rectify that in his life. Like that's not me for decide. You know what I mean? That's not something I want to do. I don't want to have an AI girlfriend or boyfriend, but someone will decide that and they'll be totally fine.
Do you know anyone like that?
You know, I don't personally, but I just know people that I talk to them about AI, and it's like they go to AI for everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Including relationships. Like what like I know a person, he broke up with his girlfriend, and every time, like this is the longest they've broken up like 6 times, right? This is the longest they've stayed broken up. And every time he wants to call her or text her, he texts ChatGPT. He's like, should I text her? And he's like, no, don't do it. Which
Like
is
any tool, it can
solid
be
advice,
useful. It can be useful for certain things.
solid advice.
Mhm.
But the real flex is being able to do that yourself. To have the willpower to not have somebody else tell you like you shouldn't do it. Like, why do you need to have somebody else tell you, hey, you shouldn't call your ex-girlfriend? You should know. Like the reason you're asking is
Yes. It's so
you
hard
know.
though, because also I think we're more isolated than ever. And so in-person accountability used to be like, I think, having people to help you out, kind of like what you were talking about with you and your daughter, like figuring things out together and feeling like you have someone who is in your corner or is kind of relying on you to do the right thing in this very tangible in-person type of way. And I don't know if there's like, I have a sort of an issue with this where we talk about the past or how we were evolved to exist in social groups and physically as if there was like this ideal time when everything was great and perfect. It's like that didn't exist. And I know we know so like this is so clear in research that we do things better when we are together or we have accountability or we have a friend or someone that is kind of cheering us on or knows what we're going through. And a lot of people just don't have that. And so I think AI acts as this replacement for that.
Can I say, now I'm going to speak again for myself. Um, in my opinion, my mind, in my life, I've had a lot of acquaintances. I've had some good friends, and then maybe a couple of really close friends,
Mm.
right? And then you see people, and they have like a huge group of friends. I got like, there's like 10 of them that always hang out together and things like that. And I don't, I'm not saying necessarily I want it. Like I'm in my mind, I'm like, I want it, but maybe I don't want it. Maybe it's like, too much. But what I realized is a lot of that was me deciding before someone can actually be my friend whether I want to be friends with them or not. Like going like, are you cool enough? Do I like you enough? Are you funny enough or whatever? And not like being open to anybody could be my friend. Kind of deciding, like, I'm not gonna be friends with that guy, right? And what I've realized like here recently, especially like in this next phase that I'm going to in my life, is like, like I mean, I know the people I went to high school with, I'm friends with like one person. You know what I mean? I know the people I went to college with, I'm friends with like three people.
Same.
I've been living this life like outside of college. I got these X number of friends. I've lost some friends, I've picked up some new friends. And if I had just been more open and not decided ahead of time, like who's going to be my friend and who's not, I think I'd have a lot more friends. And I'd have a lot more quality friends that like to do the things I like to do, that want to be involved in podcasts and stand-up comedy and stuff like that. I would have more of those if I just would have been not so judgmental and like
More open.
pre-deciding, all the, things that were also taught to me, right? And so I'm going to bring this back. I think sometimes AI is like, like quote unquote, like that perfect friend. Like, he ain't gonna bust your, he ain't gonna mess with you, like, and like you get to decide, oh, we're gonna be friends, right? But like, friends are not just the friends that agree and do everything with you. There's a whole range of friends, and I think that probably a lot of us decide or start a situation by going like I wouldn't be friends with them or like I'm not going to be friends with them or like I don't like the way they, or whatever it is. They preconceived notions instead of just being open. And I think when you're open, all the stuff you're talking about happens.
Yeah.
Like communication and flow and stuff like that. Because guess what? You know, we'll just say inside my marriage, whether it was told to me or I did it on my own, like I wasn't like that. Like I was very judgmental and like didn't, I wasn't gonna make any friends and I was kind of told what friends I could have. But it's a whole thing, right? But on the other side of that, I was like, I'm gonna try to be friends with everybody.
Mm.
And so now I have podcast friends, and now I have stand-up comedian friends, and now I have therapist friends, and now I have other friends, and then I have my old friends, and then I have new friends. You know what I mean? And it feels so
Yes.
much better. Like, am I going to hang out with my podcast friends like all the time? Probably not. You know what I mean? We kind of bond over podcasting. That's when we kind of connect.
Right.
But that's okay. You know what I mean? And I can't expect my other friends to like be in the podcasting, or I can't expect my other friends to be in the stand-up just because I need to find some stand-up friends. And like,
Mm.
I don't know if we talked about yes, the classes that I'm taking. The biggest takeaway so far is when I was in school, I was a kid that sat like in the back of the class and please don't call on me, and it was always that one kid in the front that we all hated that kept asking questions and was anointed. Now that's me. Like
Yes. I was like, that was me.
I'm up in the front. I'm like, I want to be part of this. I want to grow this. I want to impact this. I want to be a positive impact on what is happening here. And that is a totally new thing for me. And it doesn't feel awkward or scary or out of place because I think I've been growing this. I've been
Well,
working on this, not
yes.
knowing.
And in my experience, and it's been my experience of other people though, that what makes you closed down to other people, at least in my experience, is total insecurity within yourself.
Oh yeah.
That it comes from a place of anxiety and insecurity and fear. Because when you feel anxious and insecure and fearful, it's really difficult to open yourself up or to be available in that way. I think it takes a tremendous amount of confidence to be friendly and open and basically, I mean, and willing to get rejected, right? The courage to be disliked. It takes a fair amount of courage and well-being to be able to be open in that way.
I'm sure there are people in my class that are like, I wish this guy would shut up, or they don't like me, you know what I mean, because of whatever. But they're not ever going to go tell anybody that like I didn't like show up, I wasn't positive, I wasn't helpful, I wasn't encouraging. They're not going to be able to say that. They might can say they don't like me, but they won't be able to say like they probably won't even be able to say why. They're just like, I don't like him. You know what I mean? Like because I'm not going to do anything.
You're the tall poppy. You're the one that sticks out.
Well, I mean, I'm choosing because I'm like, if we're gonna do it, let's do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm gonna take the time and put it, like, maybe that's part of getting older too, is like, you realize that like time is like super precious. And if you're gonna take the time to do something, like be there and well, at least for me, like be there and do it. You know what I mean? So if I'm gonna play video games with my daughter, no phone. I'm playing video games with my daughter. If I'm doing a podcast with Hannah, everything's on Do Not Disturb. I close the door, podcast with Hannah. If I'm with a client, I'm with a client. If I'm with myself, I'm with myself. Right? If I'm in a stadium of 1,000 people, I'm in a stadium of 1,000 people, and that's what that is in that moment, right? But like, you have to curate that. You have to make that happen. You know what I mean? And it's sad because probably a lot of people go through their life now, especially like the internet, doom scrolling, all this other stuff, and they're just wasting away part of it, and they'll get to a point where like, what the hell, man? Like I really just wasted a bunch of time,
Mm.
And how are you going to feel about that when that day comes? When the day comes, you go, man, like, like I think
I think
about,
a lot of I'm sure you and I both feel that way about certain eras of life of like, oh my gosh, why did I spend so much time on that?
I'm probably even being aware of it now. I'm probably in 10 years from now going to be like, man, I wasted so much time doing stand-up comedy. What was I doing that for? But I mean, I won't probably. But the point is there still probably things that I'll look at in my life and I'll go, man, you wasted a lot of time there, you know? But like, can you waste it appropriately and be aware of the fact that you are wasting it and okay with it? You know? Like I'm kind of so driven in this moment that like, I'm working on these podcasts, stuff like that. I won't even take a break to watch TV. And the other day I was like, I was so like, again, I was tired of hearing my voice. We kind of talking about it. And I was like, I just need to watch like a regular movie. Like I need to just like watch something.
Take a break, man. I mean, you are in like hyper productivity mode.
Yeah, but like, I go to the gym and I don't talk to someone for like 2 hours. I do my sauna time, all that stuff. So it's not like I don't have time to myself, right? And it's not like I don't have time to work. It's not like I don't have time for my friends. But I wasn't making time to waste time. And, in calculated ways. I'm choosing to watch this documentary on Netflix about popsicles or whatever it is. And I'm just going to lose this 2 hours of my life and it's totally fine. Enjoy yourself. You know what I mean? And that's the way I kind of approach it. Like, because then everything just feels more intentional. And I feel like I show up for everything more intentionally, because when I'm showing up for Netflix, I'm just like, I'm just showing up. You know what I mean? When
Totally.
I'm showing up. And so I don't know. I've never thought about, I'm just saying this out loud. I've never thought about it.
Scottie, I mean, you must run out of energy at some point.
I think that, because you're not the only person that keeps saying this, right?
Well, because you seem like you're on fire. To the outside view, right? It seems like you are always doing things.
Yeah, but it doesn't ever feel that way.
Mm.
I think because I'm just really aware of time. Like I'm just really aware of that, like, if when I'm with my daughter, sometimes it's hard to not go, oh, I really need to work on that podcast episode. It's hard to do that, right? But I go, you're gonna have time, but when you have the time, you can't waste it. When it comes, because it'll come, like, like we'll have this period where I can't really work on the podcast because say things are going on in the house and work and all that stuff. And then my girlfriend will be like, hey, we're gonna go to Beaumont and see my mom for 3 days. And I already know, I'm like, those 3 days need to be treated like a boot camp. And you need to be podcasting shit. Like you need to be editing and recording as much as you can over those 3 days, because this is the opportunity, right? And it's exhausting. It's like a feels like an MMA camp when you're preparing for.
Yeah.
I mean, and like towards the end, I'm like, oh, I don't want to do anymore, and I go, but they're going to be home tomorrow. What's one more thing you can get in? What's one more thing you can do? Excuse me. What's something you can work on, like lightly? Like, where can you find? Is there anything you need to do, like, ahead of time? Is there anything you want to do? Like, is there anything like your projects that you want to? There's stuff that you want to do because you have this time. And I think that a lot of times, and I can't explain this part, we're so existed by our regular life, and your girlfriend and your daughter go on vacation. You're like, oh, I'm just gonna eat ice cream and watch Netflix for like the next 3 days. I'm not gonna do nothing. You know what I mean? And like that's great, but it doesn't that doesn't fulfill me in the same way that making this stuff does. And then I mean, this is crazy. Like I never would have thought like, oh, making this show, making this podcast, doing this would like inspire me to be a better person. I mean, but like it is because it's taught me a lot of humility, really. Because when you make something and no one cares, you get really,
Yes, we've talked about this.
really
It's
humble,
my
really quick.
favorite thing about you.
You know, I'm so pleased with our podcast because I don't advertise it for all, and people watch this thing. That's nuts. Like one of our last episodes had 50 views. Now that didn't sound like a lot, but I didn't tell nobody about it.
The worst day of my life, that one?
Yeah, worst day of my life. Yeah.
Cool. Glad that got out there.
Yeah. And so like, again, back to our original conversation. It's important to create things. It's important to create all the things. Those things make connections. Like this is why we are here. We are creative beings in this creative environment, and creativity can be the way you drive to work, or it could be, the painting you make when you get home. But you get to choose that.
Mm.
You get to choose that, right? And if you don't make that choice, somebody else will, and then you're being snowplowed.